So the first step in this project is to divide your paper into 4 quadrants. Okay, so your paper is 18 by 24 inches. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your ruler and you're gonna make a mark this way at 9 inches. And you're gonna make a mark this way at 9 inches. Okay, and then you're gonna go to this side, and you're gonna do this at the perforation, because that's where the paper starts. And you're gonna make a mark at 12, and then you're gonna make another mark at 12. Another mark at 12, okay? And then you're going to draw this line across, okay, connecting the 2 lines. Okay, and you go to this one. Okay, and you're gonna draw a line down. Okay, and there's your 4 quadrants. Okay, in each of the quadrants, you're gonna draw one of the simple forms that you have to do for this project, which is a sphere, a rectangular box, a cylindrical shape, and a cone. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna start by drawing a gesture drawing. Okay, and with a cone, what you could do is you could draw an axis. Okay, a very light line. Okay, you just wanna make sure that it is perfectly vertical, assuming that your cone's perfectly vertical. Okay, and you could build your cone around this. Okay, and also use the sighting techniques that we talked about, such as using a basic unit to measure proportions, as well as using your pencil to measure angles. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the width of the cone. I'm going to use it to measure the height of the cone. Okay, so I'm looking at the width of the cone. Okay, and I've captured it with my pencil. Okay, now I'm looking at the height of the cone. I realize it's about 1.5 widths. Okay, so let's go back to here. Okay, and actually, I got it pretty spot on. Okay, so let me just clean up this edge. This looks a little straighter. Okay, and with these cones, you want to make sure that the edges are curved, okay, as opposed to pointy. And to keep these lines very light, okay, you don't want to draw these very dark. Okay, and another thing, you're going to want to draw the background. Okay, so I'm going to draw, it's a little bit hard without blocking the camera, but I'm going to draw this table. Okay, so give it some context. I don't want to see just floating cones. Draw what's in the background. Now you don't want to have a complex background, but draw whatever it is. Just keep it simple. Okay, so I'm just going to draw the edge of this table, okay, and how it leads to the wall. Okay, and then once you're done with these construction lines, you're going to want to erase them. Okay, and just as a review, I'm going to show you on this. Well, we're using continuous tone, okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to just go back and forth. And this helps if you turn your pencil sideways, okay? You're going to go back and forth, and you're going to overlap the marks so that you can't see where the marks are at, okay? You just get an even, smooth area. And with this technique, you're going to get the smoothest surface, okay, by doing it in multiple layers, okay? If you try to get the value all in one layer, it's not going to be as smooth, okay? So basically in this, you're going to continuously go over it in several layers until you get something that's nice and smooth, okay? So slowly build it up. Okay, and then you could also change directions. Okay, your goal is to get a very smooth surface, assuming that what you're drawing is smooth. Okay, it could be textured what you're drawing in case you'll develop the texture. But at first you still want to develop the values. Now another trick that you could use is you could get a X-Acto blade and make sure that you push away from yourself. You can sharpen your pencil with the X-Acto knife. And this kind of, you know, this could work very well. And the reason this could work very well is because it'll allow you to have a longer piece of lead than would be possible with the regular sharpener. Okay, and actually I wouldn't suggest doing this on your drawing. That's actually a bad idea. I only did it to show you because it was on the camera, but do it off to the side. Well, what that will allow you to get is a nice long piece of graphite, which can be used to develop the continuous tone more easily. And this is the reason you don't want to do it on your drawing, because you will get pieces of graphite. So now looking at what you see, you're going to simplify it into just two values for each form. Okay, so I'm looking at this, I'm going to separate into two values, okay? Light section and a shadow section. Okay, for the table, a light section and a shadow section. For the background, shadow section and light section. Okay, so break down each of your forms into two values, okay? And just keep it light at this point. In this process, you're going to be slowly building up the values. When you use continuous tone, you're going to slowly build up the values. And the reason is because this will give you the most control over the surface, okay? Get it nice and smooth. But it'll also allow you to develop transitions and will overall just give you more control over the value. Okay, and I'm starting off right now with the HB. All right, now one thing to remember is that your light section is usually not white, okay? It's usually a light gray. I mean, the highlight is white, but everything else is a light gray. So you're gonna wanna turn your pencil all the way sideways on this and just very lightly go across the section. Okay, it's a very light value. I'm just going to darken this up just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to develop this shadow a little bit more. Okay, now I'm gonna, and it's important that you develop the value of the background. This is vitally important because how dark or light something is, or how dark or light something is perceived as, depends on what's around it. To get accurate sense of what value to make this, you have to have this. Okay, now I'm gonna break the background down into two values. And realize it's not gonna be as dark as it will be when it's done. Okay, but this is just the foundation. Okay, and this is a good foundation. So this is a good initial foundation for your drawing. So once you've done with the initial layer, what you're going to want to do is you're going to develop the nuances in value. So these are the more subtle differences within the light and within the shadow section. So that's what I'm going to show you in this next part of the demo. Alright, so once you have your initial layer established, then you're going to start to build up the tones. And I would say just working across the, and I would suggest working across the piece of paper, okay, within your format. And I'm going to still be working with the HB pencil. I still think there's a way I could go with this. But once I get to a certain point, then I can move over to the 2B, 4B, and 6B, depending on how dark it needs to be. But the trick with this is to develop it slowly in several passes, in several layers. And pay attention to edges. And remember, in this drawing, you're not developing edges through explicit line, but through value. So eventually these will have to be eliminated, either by creating differences in value where you can't see these, or by erasing them. Okay, so you shouldn't be able to see any explicit lines in this drawing. Okay, so in this drawing, we're learning to develop edges through differences in value. So for example, you could see that this is going to be, or you can see that there's an edge here that's going to be created because this is darker on this side, okay, and then the table in the background's lighter, okay, so you can see that edge because of that difference in value, okay. You can see the edge, and it's not developed yet, but it will be developed. You can see the edge between the table and the wall because the shadow right here is darker, okay, and the table, even though it's in the shadow, is lighter. Okay, so an edge is created, okay, not through explicit line, but through difference in value. Okay, now if you want to create a gradation, like a soft edge, you're just gonna have to kind of feather it, okay, where it goes a little bit lighter. Okay, so creating a soft edge is really just about moving the value from a darker one to a lighter one, or from a lighter one to a darker one. It takes several passes. And if you ever do feel like you went too far, like you got it too dark, then you can always come through with your kneadable eraser and very lightly line it up, okay? You want to make sure that you build up sharp edges when needed. Okay, class, so I'm gonna leave it at this point. I mean, this could be developed a little bit further. Some of the edge could be refined a little bit. But I think this gives you a pretty good idea of how to develop a form using continuous tone.